Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 34 of the Galactic Window Space Podcast. My name is Nick, and today, this day, I am known as the Orbital Alliance.
And today, just this day, I am still known as Tan,
AKA
chasing the milk.
Mr. Milk.
Mr. Milk! That's me.
Milkman Tan.
Milkman Tan. What up,
T-Man.
dude?
Yo, dude. Why does it feel like it's been like 3 weeks since we've had an episode, but it hasn't been?
I think so much stuff has happened. I don't know. Yeah, it does kind of feel like that.
Are you alive after this whole weekend and this whole crazy TikTok shenanigans?
Barely. It
Are
feels
you on,
good.
Are you on life
Yeah.
support?
I am. I'm
Uh-huh.
on E right now. But this podcast is keeping me up there, so we're good.
Good, dude. What an unprecedented event.
Yeah. We'll have to dive into that because it was definitely an emotional roller coaster for me, and I think a lot of people could probably say the same. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
super interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
But we're back.
I feel like we had a little bit of like some time dilation in this past week. Like one week felt like three or something to that effect. There was some distortion in the space time continuum, but maybe
Yeah.
we're gonna catch up. Maybe tonight's the night that the clock resets.
Yeah, let's catch up. It really does feel like it's been a while though.
Mhm. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Just want to give a shout out and a hello to everyone who's with us live in the chat on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in with us. We love to have you guys participate in the podcast episodes. We do this every week, 9 p.m. Central Time, in the same place on the Orbital Alliance YouTube channel. You can find us streaming live. And tonight we are going to be having a guest, which is fantastic. This is
What? A guest.
This is our first guest of the year.
This is huge.
Mm-hmm. It is.
We're spoiling you guys.
We are excited about it. And we'll get to the feature in just a moment, but we definitely wanted to show our love and appreciation for those of you who do hang out with us, because a big part of this show is to be talking about space and astronomy, but the key component is to talk about it with you. I love that addition. It completes the circle, makes everything more fun, and I think it amplifies the level of knowledge and learning in ways that we never could otherwise.
Oh
Big
man,
hearts.
I just got a gift on TikTok. If you guys are on the TikTok side, please come over here to YouTube and hang out with us. I have the comments disabled this time. That way you guys can just enjoy the show. But if you do want to engage, if you do want to chat, we are actually we are actually live on the other platform. So if you just go on YouTube and type in the Galactic Window, you will see a video with the red ring around it, and you'll know that we're live right now. So come hang out. We'll be able to see your comments, and we'll be able to like showcase them like this. So yeah, just come hang out with us. It'll be a good time. And for all the homies that are here right now, I see so many of you guys. Thank you so much, as always, for showing up, for being here. You guys are freaking awesome.
Yeah, so many veterans and some new names, which I love.
Got some fresh meat.
Fresh meat. Yes. Let's keep it going.
I like it.
Yeah, gosh, there's like, my head is spinning because I felt like today was just like the least normal day possible. And I'm like, I have to get my bearings a little bit.
Where are we?
We had what timeline are we in? Because we had a presidential inauguration here in the United States. That's huge news. We came off of this TikTok ban, and it was like social media necromancy. Like, like somebody like resurrected an entire social media platform. I don't know. We can get into that, but that obviously was a huge deal. The anticipation for both of those things, I think, leading up over the past few days has been crazy. There was also some really big space events this past week, in particular in the rocket launch realm, both with Blue Origin and with SpaceX. So I mean, those things were also unprecedented. So flipping heck, dude. Flipping heck.
Yeah, there's so much going on, man. There's so much to unpack, and I'm excited. We're both excited to have our first guest of the year. That's
That's true.
yeah, I'm excited. Dude, I feel like I'm gonna be a little rusty, man. So you might have to hold my hand through this. You might have to
Dude,
carry
dude,
me.
bro. I'm gonna quote Flulaborg. It'll be like a three-legged sack race, except there will be no sack, and we will just take our time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I butchered that line, but if you know, you know. Do you know
Perfect.
Flulaborg?
Nope.
He's a German actor and a comedian, and he must be the wittiest, most intelligent person on the planet because he's got a very thick German accent, but he speaks English probably, I mean, better than I do. I'm a native speaker, but he knows the ins and outs of words in ways that I don't think the common mind can even comprehend. He's very funny, but he's always, oh yes, it will be like a three-legged sack race, except there will be no sack and it will not be a race. We will take our time. He's so great.
That's pretty good.
he's brilliant. So if you don't know Flula Borg, look him up. He does a lot of stuff with Conan O'Brien, I love Conan. So.
Tan, do you live under a rock? I guess so. Yeah, I still haven't watched Lost Boys yet, so I'm working on it, guys.
Dude, Flula, I'm seeing a lot of Flula love there.
You got this, Tan. Okay.
You got it. Channel it, Tan.
I'm gonna manifest.
Yes. All right, everybody, I need you to do something. Find some like hand emojis that are equivalent to this. So we got to do some woo woo stuff for Tan here. Let's give him some energy.
I need to get back into the groove, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a little derailed after the whole TikTok ban. So
I can see our guest on the bench was participating in there too. You guys can't see, but I can. Tan can.
Yo, I want to give a quick shout out to Zalira Astro. It's actually his birthday today.
Yo,
so, Murney. Happy birthday, my dude.
Well, I definitely do not catch that inside joke there. So you might have to explain.
Sure.
I'm also seeing Tiffy jumping in here and saying the same thing.
Have you seen the Asian deep fake of Elon? His name is Yilang Ma.
Yeah,
that's him. He's like, "Hi, everyone. I am Elon Ma. I love you. Wow, Murney." That's basically him. It's awesome. Jazz hands. You guys are freaking awesome. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Happy birthday to Zaliro.
Dude, happy birthday, Dan. What is it? Are you you're like
his 20th birthday, I think.
20th? 800th?
Yeah.
Are you some like alien who's just like looks really young and then really old?
Yeah.
But sound off in the chat, everybody. Say happy birthday to Zaliro Astro.
Happy B-Day, my dude.
29 since 2016. I love it.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Well, this is your gift. This wonderful podcast tonight. I hope you enjoy it.
Oh yeah. I do want to give a quick shout out to those of you who have supported us in the newest of ways. Those of you who are members and who have given supers to support the podcast. I'm just going to read off a bunch of names because I do want to make sure you guys are appreciated because you do mean the world to us. So really quick, these are the members we have on the channel right now who are directly supporting the Galactic Window Space podcast. We have Amy White, Ashley F, SoCal Gloria, JC, Buddy Red, Mod James, Lena Lauren, Artie Jones, Astrophilia, Lily Coy, Alex Mercado, Admin, John Koffor, The Mystic Yeep, Angie Tupper, Zalira Astro, Celestial Siren, Blue Eyed, TJ's Astrophotography, Mel Stack, Tanzanite Rain, Star Walking Wilfredo, Harmony Sky, Eric, Sid the Kid, and Anthony Parrott.
Hey, cool.
Yes, you
That's guys
are the bricks that hold up the show, and that means so much to us. Many of you guys are starting to get the upgraded membership tag. Whoa!
Oh my god! Don Morrow got a sub. Kayla, Punky, Barb, Anthony Thompson.
Sweet.
Crap.
Artie Jones coming in. It's like
Coming in hot.
It's like Babe Ruth calling the shot. He's just gonna show up and hit it out of the park every time.
Space flight guys in here too. Awesome.
Yo, spaceflight guy, what's happening?
That TikTok ban was quick, huh?
It
We'll
was-
talk
it
about that.
was.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was quick, but it was also the longest 12 hours of my life. We'll dig into that for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Richard Jones, MVP.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you. Yeah, let's see here. Oh gosh, just huge list here. So those of you who've given supers, I'm gonna read the names off here because we also appreciate you guys as well. It's a different way to give. Artie Jones, Delira Astro, Ashley F, Tiffy, Ashley F, Artie Jones, Tiffy, Avoy, Star Woman, Narwhal Puppet, Pretty Little Poison, Star Walking, Alexander McCarthy, Blue Eyed, Lady Nerdette, and then a lot of repeats from many of those that I've named. So all of you guys who've dished out support.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your heart from me to you. Oh my goodness. Cool. Well, Tan, what do you say? What do we say to take this to the next level, this show?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's launch episode 34 of the Galactic
34.
Windows Space Podcast.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Galactic Windows Space Podcast. Tonight we have a very special guest, Mona. Mona is the third generation in her family to work at Cape Canaveral, Florida, where the space industry has been a part of her life since day one. She earned her degree in electronics engineering and started working while she was in college. Her passion for photography blossomed during the COVID pandemic. With outdoor activities being one of the few options, Mona began capturing sunrises, sunsets, and rocket launches. The heartfelt responses from people, sharing how her work inspired and impacted them, kept her motivated to pursue this creative journey. Today, Mona is on a mission to master the art of night rocket launch photography, finding therapy and purpose in sharing these captivating moments with others. We're thrilled to have her here tonight to share her incredible story and passion for photography. Let's give a warm welcome to Mona.
Yeah.
Yay!
Welcome
Hey,
in,
guys.
Mona.
Welcome.
to the Galactic Window. Good to have you
here.
here.
You're here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
We're
Oh,
honored.
you are
You're so
most
honored.
welcome.
Yes. Oh man.
Everybody
this
in
is happening, guys.
It is happening.
We've got the Mona.
It took a
Everybody-
little while, but I got here.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Locked in.
Those of you in the chat, make sure you say hello to Mona. Make sure she feels so comfortable and welcome to the show. Say hello. Send your best. Send a few of these too. You know.
Throw some rockets in the chat, guys, because we're gonna lift off here pretty shortly.
Mhm.
Everyone, throw some rockets in the chat. Throw some rockets in the chat.
Well, Tan and I are incredibly excited to just have a fun chat with you, Mona, because you do really cool things. like probably way cooler than Tan and I ever could hope to do. You're an engineer, and in the Space Coast area of Florida, which is just a cool place to be. Period. You're around rocket launches perpetually, but you also just love to take photos of rockets. That's your craft. You're on TikTok, which is how we got connected with you, and you just love to share that with people. So, what is it about space to you that just fires you up?
Oh, I mean, the whole point of space is to explore the unknown and what can we do next? Can we go back to the moon? Can we go to Mars? Whatever it is we're going to do. I mean, it's just never ending. There's always new things coming up, new rockets, new competitors. So it's always, it never gets boring. It never gets old. So I absolutely love it. And I would just, I can't see myself not doing it. You know what I mean? It would be hard for me to do something else just because I've been doing it pretty much my whole career and grown up around it. And, being the third generation working out here, that, yeah, of course, that was kind of inevitable. I was just going to do what my dad and, my grandfather did. So I'm the last one.
I have to ask, About
Mhm.
how many launches do you think you've seen?
Um, well, I did get to see and participate, believe it or not, I'm probably older than I look, a lot of shuttles. And I started collecting for a while there. I started collecting pins and patches of all of them. But yeah, it got too overwhelming. I mean, at this point,
Wow.
we had what, 96 launches this year, approximately. So if you think of that over, since I was in college, 30 years, that would be a
Oh, you
lot
don't
to
even keep
collect.
track anymore. That's how crazy it
No,
is.
I
Wow.
stopped. I
This is how
stopped.
many I've seen, Mona. This many.
And I've
Uh-huh.
and I've
Uh-huh.
only seen this many, so
Oh, dude.
you're gonna need to graft on a couple more arms, I think.
Incredible.
Well, we can work on that, Tan. We'll get you to see.
Please. Please. Yeah, that would be a dream come true.
We actually have one tonight. I mean, every few days we have one.
Must be nice. Do you
As long as you don't live too close to it, because the rocket boom does shake all your windows in your house. So, I mean, people probably sleep through it now, but they do have to deal with the fact that the rocket rumble, like all of Merritt Island and anywhere close by within, 5 or 6 miles does get their house shaken, unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah, gosh, I've been to the Space Coast, gosh, I think 3 different times. And it is such a beautiful area. And you mentioned Merritt Island, so for those unfamiliar, that's literally like a strip of land kind of off the eastern coast of Florida where Kennedy Space Center is, where NASA does most of its launches. So it's a pretty unique part of the United States, where people just get their house shaken by the rumble of sound. But can you describe to us, like, what is that sensation like? If you're just like sitting in your house, like what can you expect? Is it brief? Is it a long rumble? Is it jarring, or is it kind of
Um,
more of subtle? Is it like fireworks? What could people expect if they aren't familiar with that sensation?
well, thankfully, my house isn't that close, and my house is like 15 miles away. But I mean, I can still hear it, and it'll still shake my windows. So for where I'm at, it's not as bad. But the best sensation is when you're 1.4 miles from the pad. You're
Mm-hmm.
outside of your vehicle, which I'm amazed they still let us do, and you're videoing it. And you've ever been in a concert with the bass, how loud the bass is, and if you could go stand up in front of that speaker, you can feel that pounding rumble into your chest. And sometimes it's not very comfortable, but I mean, we get used to it because we don't think anything about it. And obviously, we're not getting harmed from it, even though at first we probably thought, like, is this really safe? Like, is this doing anything to my body? I don't know. Because I mean, it can be a little uncomfortable at times, especially since, like, tonight's it's southerly, so it heads right towards you when you're trying to take a picture of a video for it. And so you definitely feel that heavy, like, rumble pounding in your chest if you're that close, if you get to watch them up close.
Is it probably a bad idea to eat food like right before?
I mean, I don't know, because I shoot, like, the other night I had like Taco Bell right before I got there. So I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
I know.
That's
You and I
bold.
just
I
became
don't
best
normally
friends.
eat like that too, but I was busy. I didn't have any time. I was like, all right, we're getting Taco Bell. And I was like, is this a good idea right before I go outside in the cold? This is probably not.
You're just
Because
like
I'll get stuck in traffic for an hour with Taco
you're like
Bell.
drinking your Mountain Dew, and it's just like
Yeah, that the last one was pretty terrible because I had an earache and a sore throat, and so I was not happy. But I'm very stubborn, so I don't want to miss them.
That's so cool. You've got to experience this so many times where it's just become a routine, something normal for you. And I have never experienced this, and I can only imagine what it would feel like. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and I just have so many questions. I don't know where to start. Where did you start? Because I know you said you took photos and stuff, but like when was the moment that you said, I think this is what I want to do now is record these launches, or yeah, basically record them.
That was the whole COVID experience that we had when we were basically, because even during COVID, we were not allowed to watch launches. We weren't allowed to go outside of our buildings. Of course, we weren't even in our buildings, but we, for the longest time, they actually had stopped all launch viewing completely. Even if you were at work doing it, you couldn't go any of the launch sites or anything anymore. And it's funny because when you lose something, then you realize, like, oh my gosh, like I took that for granted. That was happening all the time. And as over time goes, we're going to have more and more and more and more of them. So we'll get more and more opportunities. Like, we're up to almost 100 a year now. And so it took that time when I was like, I'm missing on the things that I've been working with my entire career, and I ignore because you're like, it's just another launch. And people still do that. And I'm like, now I have a whole different point of view. I wasn't really doing professional photography and nice cameras until then too. And it took me about a year. And then I started, okay, this is what I want to do, because this is the hardest thing on the planet. I have decided, okay, maybe astrophotography. I just don't have the equipment yet to photograph at night, because you got this light that slowly blows up and just looks like a big ball of light in all of our cell phones, and you can't see anything. The live, they just get some blurry ball of light. They really don't get to see a whole lot. So being able to capture that and still see the flame and capture that rocket and see that's what I'm determined. It's like a puzzle that I want to solve. And not many people do videos, which is actually kind of cool. And so when I've tried to work with a lot of the people that have been doing it for a long time, they're like, we do photographs because we sell this and do this for a living. And that's one thing that I can't do, if I'm like on there and stuff, like on the base, like anything I capture when I'm on the base, we can't make any money off of it. But if I'm off base and I got the bigger lenses and I'm doing it, I'm only going to do the video, because the video captures weird anomalies. It captures anything that happens, and then you feel it, which the photo just doesn't give you. You can't feel, you can feel that rumble, even in the video. So for me, the video which is the hardest part to master, that is really what I want to do. I mean, I do, like, there's a picture behind me, but I've always got pictures here and there, but they're very, very rare. I mostly focus on the video end of it, and I don't edit. I'm very funny about edits.
Really?
Unless it's so dark or it was so much dew or fog or something and I'm trying to bring it out, sometimes I'll lighten it up, but I'm not really about edits. I want you to I'm going to talk in it, I'm going to screw up in it, I'm going to drop something. You're just going to have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Raw.
And people don't care, and they still love it. They don't want to hear music. They just want to hear it and watch it, and that's it. And that's the most comments that I get from people.
Yeah, my goodness. I always like to describe, like, photographers and videographers, so people, image producers, as light wizards. That's kind of like my fun description, because you really are trying to capture magic in visual form, and it's one thing to take a picture in the daylight when there's an abundance of photons, which makes things much easier. It's another story to capture stuff at night in the dark, when your subject is dark, or maybe there's minimal light, like stars. And it's yet another thing to capture pitch black and blinding light in the same shot.
Yeah,
it's like
you're focusing, you're changing your focus, your settings would almost have to change the whole time. So it's how do you trick that camera and force it to at least capture as much as it can. And there's all these guides, and you can find all the numbers online. They don't work. None of them work. And so it's how to manipulate and kind of fight against our cameras, because they're so friggin' smart, because they keep trying to change the image for you and adjust the settings. And so you got to do it manual, and you're hoping to keep it in focus. and then the dew's dripping off the lens, and you're like, oh, there's just nothing I can do.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
from Florida.
you do everything right, and the environment finds a way to bite back, right?
Oh, always, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you sorry, Nick.
No, please go ahead, Tan.
I was just gonna say I really appreciate that you are video centric, because that's kind of how I am. I think photos are amazing because you really do capture a moment in time. But for me, whenever I record something and I'm watching it, it always takes me back to that exact moment. And I'd imagine it's probably similar for you, where you can actually see the camera shaking, and it's just it's a beautiful thing. And Tanzanite said in the chat, you can always take still photos from the video too, if you wanted to go that route. But yeah, I love that you are video centric, because for me, video just trumps photos. For me, at least, always.
But it definitely for a rocket. But I mean, like I said, I do sunrises and stuff too. You want to hear the water, you want to hear the nature, you want to hear the birds. So you want to get, because we're all about what therapy it provides us, and that feeling and that memory of that something, that joy, and where you get your endorphins, your serotonin levels up depending on what you're doing at the same time. I mean, that's the whole point. Those are all those beautiful memories. The bad thing is that I video and capture everything constantly. So I have 20,000 things on my phone at all the time. So there's that once a year, I got to clean this, which is ridiculous.
And the last thing you want is to show up to a launch ready to shoot and have your phone, as soon as you press record, go, your storage is full.
No.
Well, I mean, I store mine in the cloud all the time too. No, it's normally, oh, my phone's gonna die, or oh, sorry guys, you know what I mean? Oh, my battery died. I mean, yeah, sometimes I'm running too fast and something gets dropped or left along the way, and that's okay. We do what we can do.
That photo that you have behind you, that image that you have printed, looks like a Falcon 9 to me. Is that a SpaceX Falcon 9?
It is a Falcon 9.
I love the composition of it, because it really accentuates the plume, like the smoke plume coming off to the side there.
Right.
Right. It's like such a cool visual feature that, I feel like maybe most people would dismiss. Like, can you tell us about like why you chose to frame that print that way?
Well, the great thing about those launches is that plume always goes in the same direction, the same spot. So it's really, really easy to know, okay, I got to move a little bit to the right and I'm going to grab this. Now, that was with the new 600 millimeter lens, and so, which is a beast. It's literally 17 inches from end to end. It is way too heavy to handle, and so you get like 5 photos maybe.
Yeah.
And that's all you're gonna get, because you're trying to chase something that's moving so quick and coming up over your head. There's no mount on the planet that we know of that works, which Tan and I have talked about, to do it. So all my stuff's done freehand too, which is even worse. So you're going to get that jittery, or I hit something, or I knocked something over. I mean, I try not to, but it happens. My last streak shot has a bloop. I hit the tripod.
Oh no!
There was just
Hold on. You're freehanding, meaning you're not using a tripod. You're just holding this Canon the whole time.
Right. Now the big one, I sit on the stand for as long as I can, and then I gotta eventually lift it up. And I did that for a long time with my 250, which is my favorite one, which I'll just get a doubler for, and then it won't be so heavy. But yeah, for the longest time I would do that, and I would always end up having to lift up the whole stand, which is a pretty big stand for that, and then it's too heavy. And it makes it even worse. And then you're trying to do the quick release, get it off, and it's just jumping. And I'm always like, sorry. But that's me. You're going to get all the mess ups. You're going to get all the ways that because I'm like, if you don't mess it up, you didn't learn. And so we want to try new ways and different ways and try to master it and make it better every way. And freehand, even if it's a little bumping around, if I did the video editing, I could get rid of it, but I refuse. And so, we just chase it. Sometimes I'll split it if I go off screen, because you can only twist so far too, because it's going directly overhead and behind you, which is really, really hard. Because at some point, no matter what, you got to turn around.
Right.
So that is a trick. Far away is easier. Like when we're doing them at the parks and stuff like that, which is what we do most of the time, those are a little easier. So because it's just following it in a direct line, and you could have it on a mount then.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can just have like a recliner chair where you
We've been
start
talking about
standing,
that.
and
And
then like whenever it goes up, and then you just lay back down, and you just
we do
literally-
that. We sit on the ground. We've tried sitting on the ground and slowly leaning back.
because that lens is heavy. That lens is
You
heavy.
need some abs for that. So yeah.
Is it a
Interesting.
600 millimeter prime lens, like an f4 or something, or is it a telephoto?
No, I
Zoom?
mean it's an f4, but it goes from 170 to 600. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
you can
Yeah.
adjust it.
Okay.
I could never see myself getting a fixed, because you're always wanting too many options in all my environments that I'm in. You're wanting to zoom in or zoom out, because it could be far away and come right towards you. Yeah. And then you can't see anything.
Sure.
So you're always going to want, some sort of a zoom capability. I mean, like the parks, like I said, would probably be the only time you wouldn't need it. And it is getting less and less and less that we get to see them up close. So it's probably because there's so many of them, because when you're starting to do 100, the security guys are like, yeah, we've had enough of this.
Yes.
Like can we only let them watch? And so that's what we get, like one a month. They'll let us kind of get up close and watch it, and that's usually it. So unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the downside of advancement of space flight, right? That there's the ease of access like starts to disappear, because you just can't keep up with it. And back in the day, maybe even 20 years ago, back in the day, quotes, like, let alone like 40 or 50 years ago, like it was way more of a special event, right? And
right. And we
had
had a lot less of them. Like each year it's getting more and more and more and more and more. And so when it was even just 5 years ago, when it was small, any of us could kind of pretty much go anywhere and watch them up close, and it was no big deal. But as the population grows and the number of them grows, and they're trying, just to keep everything secure, keep everybody in the same spots, they had to, stop, just letting everybody randomly, because it's too many people to monitor. It's too many people to keep control over, because they are on, secure bases. So, and there's not a whole lot of, I mean, you can get group tours and stuff out there and to do those, but those are still pretty rare. And really it's only the press that really get up close all the time for every single one. They're really the only ones that do.
Right.
Okay.
Unless you work there and you just walk outside and go, oh, there it is again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which I do.
So I'm sure over the years you've seen a slew of different vehicles launch. We've talked about how you've seen, of course, the space shuttle, all the way to like modern day ones like the SpaceX Falcon 9, and maybe a bunch of others. Can you tell us a little bit more about which vehicles you have seen, or that you know, maybe which ones are your favorite to watch, and how do they differ from one another when you see them launch?
Well, most of what we see today is the small Falcon 9s, which is like roughly around, a 200-foot rocket. So most of them are the Starlinks, which are pretty small. I mean, I don't know, at least in the past 5 or 6 years. I mean, I've always kind of watched them. I can't tell you of any that I've really missed. Anytime there is a new vehicle, its first launch, those are always the most intriguing, because we never know how it's going to go. So we're always dedicated 4 hours out in the cold every day, 4 days in a row. We don't care where, because we want to see it. And especially as a photographer now, where I'm capturing it, it's even more important. You want to capture every piece of it that you can. Now, we don't have a lot out here like they do in Texas, where they're doing it in stages. They do that in other places before they bring them here. So typically we don't have that type of incidents as much here. But I mean, yeah, occasionally they happen. Or like there's an engine failure, it doesn't land on the drone ship, just like the last one didn't. But I mean, the SpaceX is in the beginning, he had, 6 or 10 or 15 of them that landed right next to the drone ship too. So, when they're doing anything for the first time, it just takes them a little while. I don't know if I have really a favorite or anything either. The most intriguing one to me, and then we've only had one of them, and we spent a lot of time out there waiting for that one to launch, was the Relativity, the 3D printed rocket. That one to me, 85% 3D printed, was the most amazing feat that we had seen, and it wasn't a huge rocket, but that was probably out of all of them my favorite.
And that's brand new. That just launched recently, didn't it?
Yeah, we've only done it once, and now they're building a bigger one. And it launched, it got up into orbit, and then I think it had second stage issues or something. I don't remember. It was quite a while ago. And so they're building a bigger one. And so that one was probably the most interesting because, first of all, it's 3D printed, which was amazing. We can 3D print a rocket and actually get it up and be somewhat kind of successful the first time. I mean, it got into orbit and then it kind of had issues. But I mean, it at least launched and showed, that it could do it. So that one is my favorite, but I've kind of seen them all: the Vulcans, the Falcon 9 Heavies, the crew missions, which I don't know if you can tell by the one by me, and and it's on my page, but that one has a specific, you'll get Dragon capsules on the top. So they don't look a whole lot different, but yeah. I mean, the manned ones are probably the most exciting ones too, but most of them now just, of course, just go to the space station. And that's kind of like a pretty normal every 6 months, we're sending people up there because they rotate through.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've kind of seen them pretty much all. I watched the shuttles all the time. Those were the most exciting to me, back in the day. I collected all the pins until it went away. And they always retire them. So over the years, there's been tons of rockets that we don't have anymore that the shuttle everybody loves, but it was we had Delta 1, Delta 2, Delta 3s, we had Titans, we had everything, and nobody really talks about those anymore. No. All they do is show a size chart and show over the years, what's the size. And the Blue Origin was one of the bigger ones. I mean, at 320 feet, it was a good 120 feet bigger than the Falcon. So it was huge.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, it did very well on its first flight. I mean, it just, had issues landing, but that's the hardest thing. So that's understandable.
I'm a little overwhelmed because, well, you guys know your rockets, but for me, I when I just think of a rocket, I think of just one. So there's a lot that's going over my head. So Mona, I kind of want you to take me back just a tiny bit. So I literally don't know anything about launches, right? Can you walk me through what the experience is like if I were, let's just say, purchase a ticket? Walk me through from the moment I park my car. Do I shuttle? And then when I arrive, what is that like? Can you kind of give me and the listeners, and for those who have never experienced a launch, just paint the canvas for me, please.
It's now my experience, like I said, is very different because I've never really done it with a tour group. So I can't tell you what a tour group through Kennedy Space Center or anything like that, how they do it. But if you ever visit and there's a rocket launch, you can go to Kennedy Space Center, which will be open, and you can go watch them from there. So that is one of one of the places. It's not cheap though. So, I mean, you've got to, spend quite a bit. It's a pretty big ticket. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the price is. Nate, the last time I was here, Nate was the one that drugged me along, and so I don't know. And we have yearly passes now, and I think yearly passes are $150 or something. So it's not cheap, but that is one of the places, and you can take a shuttle to the Saturn side and watch it. But if you do them the way I do them, which is very rare to get the tickets the way that we do them. And it's usually only for us that work there. We literally have to get a ticket, even if we work there, to go see it. You just basically drive up into the designated spot that they've picked. It's kind of like a causeway. Like if you go to any of the causeways, it's the same thing. You're just closer. And everybody just parks facing away from it, though. You always got to face away in case you got to go the other way. So anything happens, you got to leave. You want to be able to exit quickly.
Yeah.
So at least we don't have our cars running. So those are other stories. But anyway, so back in the day, you'd be like, no, I'm outside the gate. My car's running facing that way. So like, I don't trust this guy. But we've had those days too. But yeah, and you just sit there, you wait. I mean, they typically only let you out there an hour before, and so you get plenty of pictures up until that point. And very few locations, only like the NASA Causeway, you can hear like countdowns or anything. I mean, there's some locations like Kennedy Space Center and places like that, you're going to get that nice big countdown clock. The press always gets the countdown clock. And so what we've got is whatever, broadcast, just like we did the other night on that live, where we're looking at Blue Origin's live, listening, because you want to hear exactly what that customer's countdown clock is. And you just sit there and wait and hear the 50 million slips, and you've been there for 4 hours, and the mosquitoes are, and the gators. And so it's always
The gators.
Oh, yes.
That's a thing.
Yes, I had to stand in between Nate and the gator and tell the gator, yeah, this isn't happening. You're not coming up here. And so it made him more comfortable if I stood in between the two. But that's pretty typical because the Cape has 12-foot gators. So, and they're everywhere. Thankfully, in all of my years out there, because it's a preserve, they're very well fed. And so, they pretty much usually leave us alone. They will come up and growl and let us know they're there, but that's usually about it, thankfully.
Hopefully
so
they don't
it's
like
not very
Vietnamese
exciting.
food.
Yeah, and then it goes up and we all drive back off because you have a path you drive on, you park, and you have a path you drive off. You can't really go for tours. You can't really, do anything. So it's not very exciting, that whole process. But and there's certain like Space Flight Now and places like that where if you listen to that hour before the broadcast, they go through like the trajectories, and they give you like what's being put up and in what minutes, like, because 8 minutes later it lands somewhere, sometimes on land, which those are the best. They're not very common. But 8 minutes later it's landing somewhere. So we usually stay there and watch it all on our phones to see if it lands successfully, and then that's when we usually leave. So kind of like 8 minutes later, yeah, all right, we're done, let's go.
That's so freaking cool. I'm just gonna shoot my shot real quick. What are the chances of maybe if Nick and I decide to hypothetically show up one day this year, what are the chances of us getting that specific ticket with you?
Like I said, they're only once a month, and we never know in advance when that time is going to be, unfortunately. But every park is 5 miles away too. So like at both ends of the gate, it depends on which pad something's on too. But there are parks literally all around. Like that one when I went to Jetty Park that first night and was out there for like 4 hours, that was only 5 miles. So that's still an amazing viewing spot. Even if you are really, really close, which with that rocket, there's no spot to put us, unfortunately.
Right.
Because it's at the tip. And so, unfortunately, it literally closes everything down when it does it. Like there's literally like one building, like when you first enter the Cape, and then that's it. There's nowhere else to go, really. Right. So for that one, I don't know if they'll ever figure out like a launch viewing for that spot. So that's why we paid like the $15, went into the park and walked down in the jetty, because then we got the perfect view of it, even though there was 1,000 people there. It's not always like that though, just for the new ones.
Yeah, right.
A month long.
Like tonight there'll be 10 people and that's it. It'll be quiet.
Yeah. So routine.
I know.
I had the chance to watch an Atlas V from Titusville. Just casually, and there was like maybe 10 people chilling there in the tiny little park section that I was in, and then I had to watch a Falcon 9 launch in 2023 from the observation gantry on 39A, which was super fun, but it was a totally different experience being that close compared to being across the water in Titusville, in the town over there to the west. You mentioned a little bit before, but what is the closest you've been to the?
1.4, I believe, is the closest.
Okay,
And
and
it does
where is
not
that?
seem like you're that far away.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just there's like the last viewing road, because there's actually no closer roads than that. The next
Yeah.
road is actually the road that the rocket's on. So there
Right.
you really can't, because we love those water views and those water reflections. Those are always
Mhm.
the ones that we want. And then half the time when we're in a park, it's the bushes. As
Mhm.
long as we know where it's at, it's fine. But most of us prefer to find a water spot. It's how you get that streak reflections. Those are
Mhm.
the best. And we want that calm water so we can get that perfect reflection as it goes up. Those are always the
Mm.
prettiest shots, the best shots. So
Yeah.
that's what
Good
we
to know.
try to get.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh man. So you broadcast a lot of these live, right, on TikTok. So like, what's that experience like building a community around that? Because you started doing this in the recent years and kind of getting connected with folks who otherwise maybe don't have any interest in this at all. Like, what does that do for you? Like when you get somebody who's brand new to the hobby, to the experience, who now has this like unique window to something super cool. Like what's it like facilitating that experience for people on TikTok?
Um, it's obviously very exciting, because I'm taking something that never gets old to me and then I can do every day and never get bored with it, and being able to share that with somebody else. I don't know how many, because I feel bad because I'm always so busy, because I'm setting up gear and I'm trying to get everything ready and moving stuff around and fixing things as stuff breaks or whatever. And so I think I'm a terrible host. And so I tell them constantly, I don't know why they haven't fired me yet, because I have messed up stuff. Like I put them in a spot and then they don't see the launch and then it just goes through the screen
Oh no.
and I can't touch anything, or it'll mess everything up and then it goes by. And so, like, I'm constantly, or batteries die or whatever.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we've never had a battery die before it launched. So that's been good. Thankfully, we've made it through the launch window. I've scrambled around and found chargers or whatever, and we've got it done. But normally, like Nate or somebody has been really, really good, because having that clock, somebody in that window that has that clock up in the actual window, has really been what makes it easier. It's gotten, over the years, just like with everything, there's too many,
Hmm.
that now I just kind of do it on my own. I know at 35 minutes that fuel starts and it can't stop, and we know what the window is, and so I know
Hmm.
exactly what time it's going. And so a lot of times I'll wait until that 35 minutes, because then I don't have that hour delay. And it depends on if it's during the day too, where I really can't do it. So sometimes they get me like 15 minutes before, and it's like, what? I had to wait until I knew it was going to go before I could get here. Hey, I just took my lunch break. I'll be right back. You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
kind of a thing. So, because we're doing them so often. But it is definitely very exciting sharing it with them. But I also think I'm a terrible host. So,
Why do you
because
say that?
well, because I don't answer all the questions. I don't pay attention to everything. I've gotten better now, that if I wait until that 35 minutes and I make sure that I'm just there with me and my camera and my phone, and then that's it, and we're just going for it, because we're doing it by hand. And so I
Hmm.
try to, over time, make things simpler and simpler. I want like 5 cameras all going at once, triggered and moving. And if I had it my way, and drones or whatever, they won't allow drones on the Cape though. So that'll never happen. But
Right. Yeah.
and so if it were me, I'd have remote stuff going everywhere, just like everybody else does. Because that's what the big
Hmm.
guys do, is they get a camera up close, it's remote,
Yeah.
and then they're doing that. So, but that's the press guys. We
For
don't
sure.
get those kind of luxuries. I'm just happy to get the one ticket, once a month now, where we're at, and to be able to go see them up close and then share that and show that to people.
Hmm.
But even if I'm 15 miles away and they can't see that pad at all with our little iPhone that only goes in 6 times,
Yeah.
they don't seem to, they seem to be pretty good, because I'm
Mm.
live constantly, where I'm doing sunrises or sunsets or something the rest of the time, where over time they've just gotten to know my personality. So you
Hmm.
either can't stand me because I talk too much or I'm just too much for you, or they hang out. And the ones that hang out get to be the ones that kind of get to experience everything, which is awesome.
I would say you're doing something right. I mean, you've got 73.1 thousand people following you. That's kind of a lot, Mona. So,
And I couldn't show 68 of them this past year. So think of the number of them that I couldn't even show over the past year because I was working and I couldn't do it.
Right.
Kind of a thing. So they've only got to see like such a small percentage. Now we can share them some of the, stuff that we got to see but couldn't go live for. But that's, all we could do. It's like, hey, this is what it looks like. But I'd rather show what I'm doing than show what somebody else did. If somebody was there in my place or whatever. But yeah, I would prefer to share what I did. So you get a lot of sunsets and sunrises in between while you're waiting.
I have a question. Do you prefer being there and videoing these launches by yourself, or would you rather have would you rather stream it?
See, I do both at once, and I'm kind of spoiled now. Like I can't see me not doing both because the phone sits right on top of the camera. So you get to experience and see what the big camera underneath is capturing. And so when you're following it with me, assuming I don't knock you off. I had to get better holders too, because I've broken them and knocked them off in the middle of it and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's something about doing both of it. Because once it launches, I'm quiet and I can't see comments because my eye is up following it and focusing and is getting in as much. And I tell people, you got a crappy view now, but what you're connected to underneath is what's going to give you tomorrow. You'll get to see what I captured. And I share them on my settings too, because I believe, unlike most of the launch photographers out there, that we should share those settings and share our experiences and how we figured out how to get around this trick or what, gear we use for this, because most of them don't want to do it. And very few of them do video. And I've never had anybody that does video been willing. I've had one person share their video settings and that's been it. And most of the time they're like, oh no, we don't share our video settings, and nobody wants to help. But the big names, when I go on Facebook and like a John Cross, and he's just one of the big names, and I go and chat with him public, what were your settings for that shot? It gives me every setting, every focal point, those are the people that I like and I appreciate. And I go, you guys are the best. I mean, obviously they're doing it. Well, yeah, that's what I would think. But I run into a lot of people and have a lot of issues, and those issues are causing me troubles now, but that don't want to share that are very threatened by that, by somebody who like, dude, this is a hobby. This is not a money-making venue for me. This is just my therapy. If I can learn how to master that night photography of a rocket, I can take a photo of everything on the planet, because that's like the hardest thing on the planet. I've decided. So, and it's not readily available out there. They'll give you camera settings, but not video.
Right.
Interesting.
Video is not on the internet.
That's interesting that people would gatekeep that.
They're very threatened. But I mean, I'm annoying to myself. So, I mean, because I think I'm a lot in general, and, I'm very excited about it. And they're just kind of like, and then I have other people that will literally come up and throw me their lenses and their gear. Here, try this, try this, try this. And they're so different. And oh yeah, we'll help you, whatever you need. But it always is like, I'm doing video and they all go, we don't do video. Nobody does video. It's usually what I get. So, so I have been learning it all on my own.
There was a question up in the chat.
Sorry.
And I'm trying to think. I don't know how far up it was. I'm not going to dig, but I will. I definitely wanted to bring to the surface. They asked about a certain type of launch. I'm going to rephrase the word for it, because I think it opens up the question for more opportunities for answers. They're asking about launch anomalies. Have you witnessed any anomalies from launches? So the launches that did not go as planned.
Yes, but actually not very many. And I mean, we've actually videoed some of them, and just anything strange when a video, which is the why we kept doing the video captures. We had one of the, I think it was the second Vulcan test, one of the engines.
Mm.
Quite a ways up. I mean, it was quite a ways up into flight, no big deal. But I want to say it maybe blew up or did something, and I could
Yeah.
see it in the video. So you get to see that whole thing happen. The first thing I did was like, did anybody capture it? And they're all like, no, because you're doing photos. Stop doing photos.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, you
And
miss
then
it.
and
Yeah.
then we're flying along, and it's something weird goes by, and you'll hear me go, I don't know what that was. Something just went by. And so and we've tried to figure out what some of those are, and we have not been able to figure out what any weird things that go by
The Dior
are.
bags.
Yeah, but we've put them up, and we've had people come up with all these. No, oh yeah, it was a weather balloon. No, we don't launch them then. So like,
Yeah,
so
right.
some stuff I know. No, that's not what it is. But definitely, the anomalies, but they're rare because, like I said, most of the ones with the SpaceX were 365 miles offshore on a drone ship that nobody's out there witnessing. And so, and all those were, they just call them planned water landings, where they just kind of go off to the side and stuff like that. Now, I did miss the one that they were supposed to land on land and didn't make it. And they put it right off the shore on the beach. So those people at Jetty Park that day got the best view and scene in the entire planet, because instead of, it only did it once, it landing on land, it just right off on the beach, and then and fell right over.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
everybody was like, I wasn't supposed to land there.
That's not normal.
But they're all so amazing like that. Everything's so automated now. It kind of knows what's going on, and it knows most of the time, to the best of its ability, to either adjust or, like the SpaceX Starship thing just have, it will, if it, to make sure it doesn't harm anybody. I mean, they're obviously gonna take care of themselves. It's all computer based now. You know, it will terminate itself if it, if it goes awry or is in the wrong direction. It, it just takes care of itself. Everything's automated. So, yeah. And they've got it down to such a science, because we've been doing it, oh my gosh, 50, 60 years now. So, yeah, I mean, they do a really good job with it now.
That reminds me of a story. I may have told this on the show in a past episode, but I'm going to share it again anyway, because you're talking about the autonomy of like being able to course correct and avoid maybe really bad outcomes,
which is amazing.
Because essentially they're guided missiles, really, right? Like, and in somewhat of a loose terminology. But I remember listening to the audiobook of astronaut Terry Virts, his book about his experience being an astronaut, and he talked about when he was first arriving and going through the tours of like the mission control centers and all the different rooms and with the group of astronauts, like early astronaut candidates, and they were showing them the consoles with all the buttons, and he asked the guide, "What's that big red button on the on the console?" And the guy said, "Oh, this is the the flight termination button." And basically, he had to explain that this was in the space shuttle days. Of course, that like if something went so wrong with the space shuttle and it was for some reason heading, say, and he used the example like towards Disney World, where there are dense populations, families, like real people, like the mission control center would have to make a decision to manually terminate the flight, end the crew at the expense of saving a population somewhere else. Like,
Wow.
That is like the wildest story to think about.
Right.
Like those are decisions and protocols that are in place, and they are very normal. And I think those things still exist, but so much of it now is
automated.
Automated, right? And that's how far we've come. And it also gives me confidence, and I'm sure many people like you who are much closer, like that things are at a much higher risk for being successful these days because of the advancements we've made in that area.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
which is amazing. And like you said, there's only been really the twice with the shuttles, and that's been it. And the FAA, which you'll see a lot when you go look online, whenever there's an anomaly with any of them, they always make them do an investigation, before they proceed again. So the great thing is whenever there's anything that happens, whether it was planned and there was no problems and nobody was hurt or whatever, they still at least put those checks and balances, go, oh, stop, let's see what you did, let's go fix it. And before, or figure out what happened before we keep proceeding. So you'll see that like on a lot of the, I think from the last two of them, they put them through the wickets of the investigation before they do another one, which is awesome too. They just go, oh yeah, just keep going. And I think we've only had, unfortunately, I've missed most of those big ones because, they were way before I paid attention to them. And we did have one SpaceX on the pad, but it wasn't a launch day, have an issue. And then, which is why the shuttle pads got built up so quickly, because he lost his primary pad because he did have one blow up on the pad during a static fire. And so he got the shuttle pads up and running much, much quicker because of that. So like it took him 6 months because he lost the pad because of it. So they figured out, oh, it's better to have 2 pads than one and only one. So just in case, anything happens. But I mean, that was like one incident way in the beginning. So, most of the time they're pretty good. They figure all that stuff out, and there's so many checks and balances along the way that it's actually much, much safer than we realize.
Right. Have you had the opportunity to meet any astronauts?
Yes. But you can go to Kennedy Space Center any day and have lunch with an astronaut. So it's not, I mean, it's like the norm because we've launched for so long that anybody can go to Kennedy Space Center and have lunch with them, which is amazing. So there is literally lunch with astronaut events every day.
I did that once. I got a picture over here with me and astronaut J.R. Riley as I did that thing, which was it was so fun,
Yeah, it is.
And to be clear, it's not a one-on-one lunch. It's like a little mini banquet. They like stick you in a hall with like tables of people, and they walk around.
So I've never really done the one-on-one, and I'm kind of funny about all that because I can't tell you, they haven't been around, they haven't been in the room, and I haven't had the opportunity. And I'm usually just like, he's just another guy. Like, why? And so even when Bill Nye was there, they're like, please take a picture with him. And I was like, well, why? Like everybody to me, like they're just people. Yes, they're amazing. They do great things. They're very, very smart. And I don't think I could ever physically make it into that, at least not in this point in time, maybe when I was younger. But I mean, it is amazing what they do. I mean, our general, our boss, that we briefed was an astronaut, so General Helms. And so I've obviously been around him, and then I had guys in the room come up, can we get your autograph? And I was like, really? Like, we're in a meeting. Like, you can't do this.
They're just nerding out in the middle of a meeting.
I know. Well, we're engineers. I work with a bunch of men that are engineers. So I mean, that's kind of what you get. So.
You don't get starstruck ever.
Not really. I don't know.
I bet
guess because I've been around it for so long, like I said, you take it for granted. I think probably now I would get the photo and the video or whatever because I have that very different mindset. Like, you never know if this is ever going to happen again. Let's get this and remember this now because everything's digital and it's there forever pretty much as long as you know how to store it properly. So basically, that's that experience that you want to remember forever. I took the kids to meet the astronauts. They went to space camp. I mean, I did all of that stuff with them. They got to build little rockets in the day and launch them in the day. And so they had a great time. So I do recommend space camp if anybody's in Florida.
Tan, you want to go to space camp with me?
Yes.
Yay! Let's go.
I love it. I think it's only kids, though. I think you guys are too old now.
No, I'm still a kid on the inside.
Yeah, if we shaved our face and wore like maybe a Dora Explorer backpack, we can probably get in there.
Yeah.
Actually, that would probably be weird.
Yeah. Kids and it's
Maybe we
only
shouldn't
kids.
do that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should.
I know. I think they should have an adult one. I don't know why they
Yeah.
don't, but
Right.
and maybe they do now, and I just don't know about it. But yeah, that's the one thing that kids in the summertime get to do around here. They can go to space camp, which is amazing.
Well, a question comes to mind then, like, are there people who you find to be key influences in your life that are people who are mentors? Who might those people be, and why do they matter to you?
A person that I would think is more of a mentor to me would be probably the people that were more mentors to me would be more like just good supervisors and good bosses. If you've ever had to work with engineers or supervise engineers, we're probably not the most easy to supervise or work with in general, because we've got those extreme introvert, extrovert, not a whole lot of common sense, that kind of stuff, a whole lot of smarts that, sometimes they don't know what to do with things. So more of the mentors I had in my life were just the people around me, like the bosses that were amazing and were always there for you and stood by your side and backed you up and all that stuff, because it's more the people thing that mattered more to me than anything. Like, treat your people good and your people will work as hard as you ever need them to, and they'll be there and got your backs at all times. And so those were always more, which is kind of weird, my good supervisors or good bosses that I have. And like I said, I've had astronaut bosses, I've had them all, but so those were always the ones that were definitely the best mentors to me.
I like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. How you treat people. I mean, that's like I said, like you said, even in my intro, I started this. I've tried to walk away from this several times, and I've had people that are stuck in the middle of nowhere in the snow at a horrible station or whatever that I've known, because I've been here for so long in the same spot, that have said, please don't stop sharing that. Like, we need that. We're at this terrible duty station that we're stuck at for 4 years. We need this. And I was like, all right, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah. You said something sort of that stuck out to you. It was like, you mentioned good bosses take care of your people and they'll do anything for you. What other philosophical mantras do you have that you feel like guide you through your life, maybe professionally or in your hobby?
I like that.
I mean, you could say treat people as you want to be treated. I mean, that's always probably the biggest one, but to me, if you're a good person, no matter how you've screwed up or what you've done wrong or whatever mistakes that you have made, as long as, to me, and of course we all have different, definitions of what a good person is, but as long as you're a good person, I don't care what quirky, weird kind of stuff. I mean, come on, I work with a bunch of engineers all day long, so you gotta get used to that. And they range from one end to the other. So and so I think I have, but it's hard though for me too, because I have been raised in that community for so long, raised around the military and all that. I have a very different, very filtered mindset, because, we have to be careful about what we say and what we do. We're very filtered most of our lives, but definitely it would be just, I guess, the treating people how you would want to be treated. And if you always do that, then you're fine. But it doesn't matter how nice you are. The one thing I always tell people, and I've told them that recently, you could be the nicest, most sweetest, giving person in the world, and there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you. And that's okay, because that's not you, that's them. And so you got to not take it personally. And especially when you're putting your face out there in the public and dealing with a lot of people, you just can't take it personally. You can be like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but realize, just don't take it personal. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's all on them.
That's such a hard thing to learn. But yeah, agreed. Very well said.
And trust me, I make people mad all the time. So, because sometimes my job makes me do it. So, and I'm just like, this is not going to go well.
You tell your coworkers who all want to go to, KFC for lunch. Like, no, we're going to Taco Bell. Like, come on, like, Mona.
I just try to get them to eat healthy, exercise, and spend some time outside. And I promise them, you'll feel better.
Yeah. We've had some like really excellent questions rolling in the chat here. I want to make sure we pay attention to. I saw one. Oh yeah, Tiffy asked, "Has Mona ever been to a star party, and can she come and be a speaker at Okitex?"
I have never been to a star party, no.
Ooh.
And you would have to tell me more about that, whether I would say that I would do it or not.
Well, yeah, you guys can connect, see what
Okay.
that might look like, right?
Do you know what a star party is?
No.
Mm.
Oh man.
Mm. Well, you
She's
should.
entering our territory now.
You.
I know. And I watch you guys all the time, and I'm literally like, I gotta go to sleep at some point.
Yeah.
Well, Will, who's Deep Sky Dude here in the chat, he was a guest on our show. I believe it was episode 9, and he talked all about those star parties. So, for anybody out there who wants to know about him, he's definitely a expert.
Yeah. But I would say in a nutshell, it's just a huge field where people congregate and just stargaze for over the course of, a week or so. It's a much darker. You're not going to have to deal with loud rumbling noises. If anything, I would say there is a like volume limit. Like you can't be super loud. It's
And no
Yeah.
lights. Don't leave your car doors open. You're ruining our
Exactly.
photography.
Quite the
I deal
opposite
with
of
that
launch,
all
I
the
guess.
time. I'm like, can you turn your headlights off? I'm not going to get this streak shot. Like,
You'll get a streak. It just won't be the one you want.
no. And the funny thing is around here, there's so much light pollution. The cave is
Mhm.
perfect for Milky Way shots. And it's the only place I've ever gotten one locally. I mean, you can go into the center of Florida, and there's a lot of parks, like prairies and big parks there. But in this area, because of course what we're right next to, there is a lot of light noise. And so the cave is perfect because it's a huge preserve that 45 minutes to drive from one side to the other. So it's big.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have much light at night.
Right. Just a
But
lot
yeah,
of
I've
birds.
been invited to those before. I've just never been.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to go.
Okay.
I'll shoot you some info, and then maybe you can we'll just plant the seed, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, because so far I've only done moon photos because of the 600 millimeter, of course, because you get to see the craters. And then I've been starting to do the planets.
Oh, cool.
And I haven't quite, with a regular lens and not using my little mini telescope, I haven't quite mastered that at all yet. And that's just what I've started.
What's been one of your favorite planets to shoot?
Jupiter.
The Jupe.
Nice. Good old Jupe.
Jupe.
Yeah. And because we have all the moons and stuff right now. So I've been doing that, but I can't figure out how to get the stripes on Jupiter. That's the only thing I haven't figured out how to dial in. And it sounded like most of the guys that I talked with, I just needed the 1.4 doubler, and then it would be kind of a breeze for me.
Yep. I would say you need to get just a little bit closer.
Yeah. So the 600's not quite there, but for the moon, it's amazing.
Yeah. Did you get to catch? Oh, go ahead, Tan.
No. You go.
All right, I'll go. Did you get to see the Mars occultation last week?
No, I didn't. Well, yeah, I saw it with Tan.
Oh.
Florida was overcast, completely saw nothing. So I had to go into his live to watch it.
Okay.
And so I sat, and he was actually late coming in because that was Monday. And so that's why he was late.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Y'all were hanging out.
No.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm probably going to end up telling.
Dude, the best reason to miss this show is for astronomy. That's
true.
Like the ultimate reason.
Especially something rare. I mean, I'm always out there. Like, what are we doing now? What comments there? Do we have strategic, anything? Because that is me learning more night photography. And so, and I was on night shift for almost a year. So for me, I really liked night shift. Not working it, but I would prefer to have it at least close like I'm done at midnight, and then I can go play for like an hour or two outside before I go home. And I started doing that like as a habit. I would bring my camera with me and go wander around and see what I would get. And sometimes I got some weird stuff that nobody can still tell me what it is. I'm like, I have no idea what that was, but it was really cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best one. You just have no idea what's going on, but it works.
No. And I'll be like, this is what it should be, but I don't know how it happened. Like if something's standing on a stand and you're not touching anything, and then what looks like what should have been a lens flare, and you're like, but it was on a stand and nobody was touching it. It was just me. Like, how did it do that?
Mystery orbs.
I know, but they were streaking, and so that was the thing. And so a lot of times I figured, like this one behind me, I did a video on. No, it wasn't this one. It was a streak shot, a night streak shot. And I was looking at the picture, and I started zooming in and zooming in and zooming in, and then I saw these weird like streaks doing all these weird maneuvers in it. And me, I'm an engineer. I was like, it was just a plane. But I was like, but check out the pattern. And so I went through the video and followed the picture. This is just a still like open, long exposure, and said, this one did some weird, I don't know, the plane can't do that. And then this one just stopped, And so I was like, those are weird. But I mean, they kind of look like the blinking planes that it would pick up in a long exposure. But I just thought that was funny. And I'd had that picture for a while. And just all of a sudden, I'm looking in the corner of it and zooming in. I was like, I need to start paying attention to even the streak shots, because the streak shots are starting to pick up stuff now that I don't even pay attention to.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Dude, I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I was going to say if you didn't.
Yeah, right.
I can either confirm or deny. I just show you the picture and go, what's that? That's weird. And that's about all you're going to get out of me. Don't ask me about drones. Don't ask me about any of it. So I'm going to be like,
airbags, baby.
I was going to say, that's exactly where I was going to go next. Like, what do you think about the possibility of other intelligences in the universe? I mean, specifically like Tan just impersonated people or things that could do that noise.
I have personally never experienced it. And I have no knowledge of any other information related to it. But I mean, it's kind of a given. I don't know. I've never really kind of thought about it that one way or another. I mean, yeah, of course I do, but and it's not because of any, information or anything I have. Sure. But we do get strange anomalies that we cannot explain constantly that, we're obviously catching on video when you're out there, 96 times a year, how many times we're out there, you're going to catch stuff that now for us, our area, our airspace is pretty clear. So, the likelihood in this area for something not going on and, somebody somewhere not seeing it is kind of highly unlikely. But, I've never really seen anything drastic or something I couldn't explain that was super noticeable. And that's the only thing it could have been. So I've never really experienced it, but I have caught a lot of strange stuff on film. So
if a strange spacecraft landed near your home and some form of an extraterrestrial creature of intelligent nature approached you and said, "Hey, we know you love to exist in space, space coast stuff. You like taking pictures of rockets. We want to give you a chance to come visit our world." Would you say yes?
Oh yeah, probably.
You'd go?
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. I would have already started live streaming the whole time too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm like, everybody is gonna see this if I'm gonna.
People tap the screen, y'all. About to get abducted. Share the live, everyone. Share the live.
Do you think? Do you have a space TikTok account? It's like the Galactic Federation has, if they haven't banned it yet. Oh man,
I do
Yeah,
want
that'd be
to
cool.
shift gears a little bit because all of us here, we are all TikTok creators, and you again, like you have a pretty big community. You've got 70 plus K people following you. And there was that recent TikTok ban. All right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What did that impact you? Did you at all, or was it just another day, or what was that like on your end when that happened?
It was a little strange, but I don't. I'm kind of funny. Well, and it's a lot of it's because I just my job and I'm working a lot. So a lot of stuff like that during the day and stuff like that I don't get to do. It's different for like my friends that are creators full time and that's all that they do. And I know I have a lot of them that do that. It's fine. It didn't really affect me too much, but you have to understand being an engineer and knowing cybersecurity and the IT side of it, I was like, I get it. I understand that. If it was me and I kind of had to make the decision, and depending on what information I had, which we all have to make those decisions from time to time, I understand where they were coming from and why they were trying to do it. I also had the same opinion though that I didn't think it was going to last long either. But
Mhm.
even if it did, would it affect me? Yes, because of the community. I mean, I can put the worst video up. I dropped it on the floor, the battery went out, and everybody's like, "You did great." And I'm like,
This is
there is
awesome.
no other place on the planet where this happens except in that community. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and because of that community, and we have fought really hard in that small group to keep it like that.
Mhm.
Like some people like to have the arguments and the flat earthers and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't, if it's not positive, you know what I mean? I don't want to do it because the world doesn't have enough positivity in it. And the
Yeah.
more that we can spread and the more that we can encourage and the more we lift up, and which is why I was so drawn to the Milk Gang, is because that's what they do. I mean, the milk raids everywhere are the best. And I was like, that's what if we all
Shut up,
did
Milk
that
King.
as a world, yes. I
If everyone
mean,
in the world just shut up with a glass of milk,
yes.
hell,
Yeah.
the world would be
Yeah.
a better place.
Yes. And so, it's those type of things. The world's tough enough as an all, and everybody's, but just that little bit of time when I can share a sunset, a sunrise, a rocket, or whatever, and the positivity, yeah, that I would have missed. But I've
Mhm.
met most of you in person, and I have your addresses and your phone numbers and stuff, the ones that I'm close to and spend the most time with. So I've met at least 11 of you guys in person, at least.
Mhm.
You haven't
Because
met us
people come
yet.
here and you haven't visited Florida.
We will. We will.
And you guys are places really cold. I'm like the Michelin man in 20 degrees, so I'm trying to get bundled up.
It is
But that is
dropped.
my ultimate goal. I'm getting a Sprinter van in 2 years. I'm
Mm.
traveling all throughout the United States, going to meet all the people
Oh,
and then show
Nice.
all the beautiful places in the world.
I like it.
yes. When you hit the Midwest, you know where to go. You're gonna find us. We're gonna party.
You'll still be there.
Yep,
A
this
star
is true.
party though would be amazing though, because then you
Mm-hmm.
get to meet a large group. And I've been to TikTok groups before. My
Mm.
first one was in Ohio like 3 years ago. So
Oh,
I've been
cool.
to the meetups before too.
Oh, cool.
Mm, that's cool. Man, Ohio
Yeah,
It's for
of all
lovers.
the places. Yeah.
I know, kind of an odd spot, but there was friends of mine that were musicians and stuff, and so helped build their account up. I go to different places and different groups, and we do the same thing like he'll do. You find somebody that's a good person, or whatever, and you help them build their account and build it up.
Mhm.
Like you
How
said,
long
we're
have
here to
you?
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to know how long you have been on TikTok.
I've only been going live since August of 23. I've
Mm.
been on about a year or so longer, but it took me a while to. I only actually joined because my girlfriend had funny dog videos of all things, and
Heck,
I wanted to see all the videos she was
send me some
posting.
after the
And
show.
so
Send me
I
some, please.
joined. Yeah, I joined him just to see all her funny dog videos. And then it just kind of took off after that. I hung out in a few lives and I started meeting people and I started traveling. and meeting people, because back then it was
Wow.
easy. My job wasn't as busy, and so I was doing more of that.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So
and
cool.
I've met a lot of people that way, believe it or not, and we're still all friends, which is amazing.
I
That's
feel
cool.
like you go on. I was just gonna say I feel like almost everyone that I talk to, especially if they're a creator, we all have this like testimonial for TikTok, and it all starts out the same. We use this app maybe as a joke or not even like very loosely in the beginning, and then somewhere down the line we find a community, we find friends, we find our passion, and it's beautiful. It really is.
Hmm. My niece and nephew, on the first night that TikTok went live, were in their room. I walk in the room, my nephew's on my niece's shoulders, and they're making TikTok videos, and I'm like, what is the world come to?
Yeah.
And then now they come look at me and they're like, what happened? Like, we've been on since the beginning. You've barely done anything. Like, I was, from August to October, and then I disappeared until October, almost a year, and then started back up again. So I get busy at work where we don't have the opportunities because we're working on something. And so yeah, I've actually, I would do sunrises because that was the only thing I could do, or sunsets or something, which people love the whole nature stuff too. And it's so beautiful here that who doesn't want to see dolphins and manatees and alligators and the ones that come out of the water and try to eat me. I mean, it's always fun. I just carry the, frying pan with me. We're good to go.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I just have this, animals will come hang out with me. I don't understand why. Thankfully, up to this day, knock on wood, none of them have bitten
Animal
me.
whisperer.
So
You must emit good frequencies if the animals there want to be with you, right? 'Cause
Yep.
animals don't lie, right? They got that like inherent sense that they know when people are cool people.
well, they let me take photos of them and they hang out with me, and so yeah. And it's just when the big ones come out of the water, and I'm like, Ed, nobody's here now. Of course, they all walked away. Like, really? And that was the only time that I ever said a foul word. I thought for sure they were going to shut me down. And FML was as soon as she's coming out of the water at me, and I'm like, oh, because I'm
Oh
down at the
man.
water's edge, taking a picture
Oh man.
live on top as usual. So
It's
it
gotta
was
be
a great
terrifying.
live and a great video. And they probably looked and they were like, no, that's really cool. We're going to keep this one going. She might get eaten. It's like, yeah, that's probably what it was.
Gonna bet that dog.
Yeah, always. But I've had 2 bobcats on lives. One fell asleep.
Wow.
I had to wake it up because I wanted its eyes open so I could take better pictures. And then the other one just
You
like
woke up a
walked
bobcat
behind.
so you can get a good photo of it?
Yeah, I was yelling at him in the live.
Jesus.
People thought it
What?
was hilarious.
A bobcat
Yo.
is wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always doing stupid things. So
Love it.
You're just living. LIVIN. Oh my
It's freaking
gosh. Well,
awesome.
that's that. I mean, put a finger down if you've ever woken up a bobcat. Dang.
he was kind of hard to wake up. I'm like, dude, I need your eyes open for the photo. You're gonna need to wake up. And they're like, you're really waking him up. It's like, yeah. But a 2-year-old eventually came running down the path because I was at a park, and so then I was watching the 2-year-old like, okay, this is small prey. We need to make sure nothing happens to the kids.
Yeah.
Bobcat was like, oh no, another TikToker.
That's
I
awesome.
think they're pretty good. They'll give me like 5 minutes and they're like, okay, we're done with you. You can go now. You've gotten your photos.
That's a gnar from me, dog. Kels, are you still in here? We get a gnar.
No. Yeah, that's pretty bold. That's pretty
Yeah.
bold.
Oh man. Well,
yeah, I'm a Florida girl through and through, and so this is very Florida.
That's good. Represent it. Represent it well. Well, at this point in the show, want to turn the focus a little bit towards the audience who's viewing live with us. We want to offer you guys a chance to ask any last questions you guys might have. So this is like your Q&A section. So for those of you who want to ask Mona any questions about her experience as a photographer, her experience with rocket launches, experience with waking up dangerous
Bobcats.
wildlife, please feel free to sound off in the live chat. This is your opportunity. We'll pick a couple of those questions, feature them, and we will hopefully have some answers for you. So
Ask
go ahead.
away.
Yeah, fire
Ask
away.
away, chat.
Mhm.
Also, just a huge shout out to everyone watching tonight. Man, I feel like we've been carrying this steady crowd lately. You guys
Mhm.
have just been coming in here and watching every week, and dude, that means the world because we understand that. I mean, it's late. You know, this isn't in the middle of the day. It's sleep time for a lot of people. So the fact that you guys are here watching with us, thank you so much. So you guys are freaking awesome.
Just gonna-
Yeah,
just gonna
and
peek
it's so
through
funny because I watch you guys on the TikTok side all the time.
I love it.
And
here
we
we go.
point, come over here, come over here. I'm an electronics engineer. I saw that question.
Electronics engineer.
Yes, that's my specialty.
Mhm.
So they don't have us do a whole lot of engineering, mostly paperwork, program management, that type of stuff.
Hmm.
So, and they got me right in college, so they've had me a really long time.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
What-
and
what
so
kind
I've
of
done like everything by now.
I was just like, what kind of classes in school does an electronics engineer have to take?
Well, Calc 1, 2, and 3, differential
Oof.
equations 1 and 2. So you got to get through the math part if you can, which is a breeze to me for some reason. The math part's like nothing to me. The other stuff that was harder to me is like, don't put me in chemistry or something like that. Those I couldn't stand. But I
Yeah.
mean, if just for an electronics, and just because it
No.
was just a bachelor's degree, it's actually still just all the basic English and everything else.
Okay.
And so, oh, I see the gifts. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Marnie,
I love it when you guys do
Marnie.
that.
That's like 5 galaxies, I think.
What?
I don't know. That's a lot.
Yo, dude, on his birthday too.
Yeah,
He's
what do
giving
you-
gifts
That's
on his birthday.
awesome.
Yo,
Oh, I
on.
forgot to say happy birthday, Zalero. Zalero's
Everyone-
actually been here and seen a rocket up close with his telescope, and he chased it with the telescope, which is so difficult. I've had 2 people do it and be successful, and that was Nate and Zalero, and that's it.
Mm.
So
MVP Zalero. Yeah.
yeah, he barely got it together 5 minutes before it went up too. I was
Oh,
like,
that's
good
awesome.
luck. That takes forever. If I'm far away, I do use my telescope to kind of cheat for the phone to at least get it up close. Because you
Mhm.
can't keep the camera screen up and running the whole time. You're welcome, Zalero. So Dan is amazing. I've met Dan.
Ah,
That's
cool.
freaking awesome. Man, there's so many good questions. I'm gonna
Right? Yeah.
pick. Let's see. I like
Yeah.
this one from Tiffy here. She asked your favorite memory thus far in your position / what you've seen.
My favorite position, which is terrible because I can't really talk about it. My favorite job is what I do now. I don't do very much paperwork stuff anymore, which is really, really great. I get to work a lot more closely with the rockets and stuff now, which I really, really enjoy. So I do love the
So cool.
cybersecurity paperwork and all that other stuff too, because I am an engineer and I love to problem solve and fix stuff and bring in new systems or find new ideas or innovate or faster, cheaper, better. So I mean, I love all that stuff too, and I've done that most of my life. But it is really, really nice to kind of be on the far end of it for the first time and be able to work more closely with it. So you see kind of like the fruits of all your labor for all those years that I've been working. So this is definitely my favorite part in my career is my career right now, which
I
is
love
really
that
nice.
for you. That's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
She's
Next
got the
question I got
dream
here
job.
from another creator that I know we all probably all know from TikTok. Tom Heil asked to see your cameras, which I know may not be possible, but can you at least tell us which cameras you shoot with? What are your preferred cameras?
So I have two Nikon Z6s. So
Sheesh.
yeah, and so it's actually, the other one was my roommate's. He was actually going to get rid of them at one point. I said, you know, mine's going to break at some point. Have you seen what I do to my equipment? I'm in the sand, the dirt, the mud, the water. Thankfully, I've never so far gotten the camera in the ocean yet. Everything else has been in the ocean except the camera. So because I will like grab it and pull it over my head and save it, because that's one of the most expensive pieces. But yeah, I don't have it close by. It's all packed away because it's actually meant for, because there was supposed to be there's a launch tonight. So it's actually all packed up, ready to run out the door at any moment. And for me, when I'm running out the door, to grab it with him. But then I primarily rely for rockets 250, which I like because it's small, it's mobile, it's easy to chase. And plus I'm normally, you know, because of what I do, get to get up close. And then the 600 is the one that's new. Now that we don't get to see him up as close anymore, at least now I've got the 600 to kind of make up for it. It's just figuring out how to deal with the beast it is at 17 inches and how heavy, and trying to track with it, because you'd have to have a stand that literally tracked over your head, which is impossible.
Right.
However, there is a set of missile tracking devices that were old missile trackers from White Sands that a bunch of retired engineers refurbed, 4 of them. And we've got to spend a day with them. And I actually have a video of them. I got to spend a day with them. And it takes 2 trucks to haul the equipment. So this is the only thing.
Damn.
And we're talking, I want to say 8,000 millimeters is the biggest 200-pound in the middle. And then, of course, all around it, there's smaller ones because you got tracking ones and all that. And they still have to use, because remember, this is old technology that was thrown away that they refurbished. Still has a little joystick that you have to use. So you're still got the human in the loop. It's not automated. And so one truck pulls the enclosure, and then one truck pulls that huge, you know, missile tracking mount.
Wow.
So yeah, that's like,
That's
and
gnarly.
SpaceX has one and they use them. Spaceflight now uses them, and there's still one nobody has bought yet. And then the guys do it on their own on the side of the road all the time. So that's probably that's what Nate and I want. When we went and saw that, I was like, can we just stick it on the top of the Sprinter van? Just stick it with us and have all the equipment underneath.
I don't think anyone would notice if it went missing randomly one day, right? Like, you just...
I'm sure that other one is still for sale, because there's still a 4th one, as far as I know, nobody's using. So there's still one more available.
It's got your name on it.
I know.
I really like this question here. Hijinks asks, what do you think you would have done if you didn't follow your family into the rocket field?
Well, I had started taking electronics classes when I was in high school. So I had already kind of started that passion on my own, and none of them are engineers. And so I was the first. And so it was just like, you know, I took an electronics class in like 9th grade, or did a paper on electronics in 9th grade. And then I was like, this sounds really cool. And I did it. And I actually almost didn't finish and get my degree, because the problem that, and we don't really teach this to kids very well, what you do in school has nothing even close to look like what you do when you graduate. It's not even close. So just the monotony of going through school and trying to take all these English or, you know, or statistics or whatever classes that we have to take to get our degrees that have nothing to do with engineering, and are always really hard. It's about halfway through, I almost quit, and my family did convince me to stay, and I'm glad I did, because of course, as soon as I got the job, even though I was doing paperwork and stuff in the beginning, you know, because I was so new, it's still, I was making changes, I was helping people, you know, I was making things better, I was streamlining things right from the beginning, and so I just found something that satisfied me overall. And I knew what the ultimate result was, because every secretary, every contracting person, every single person, the thousands of people that work up there, they all contribute to one thing. And it may seem like the secretary does nothing, but she's what keeps the colonels or the generals or whatever, going on their schedules so they can get everything that we need to get done. The toilets, whatever it is, all those people contribute to making the job of launching a rocket, which is just a bunch of satellites in space, which I still think is not that very exciting, but that's okay. It's just satellites, you know what I mean?
Right.
Better communications, better internet, better, direct to cell. And so, yeah.
Better pizza, Papa John's. Right.
I love it. Well said. Well, let's do one more question and then we'll wrap it up here. And I think I'm going to ask this one. I got one more question for you, Mona. You do so much for the community. Just the fact that you can get so close and be able to share these views for other people who may never get a chance to see something like this is it's got to be so rewarding. What would you, if you had any advice for someone who maybe wants to start doing what you do, or maybe they just want to photograph or visit a rocket launch, what are some words of inspiration that you may have for them, for the newbies?
For the newbies that want to become photographers or become engineers or work up here. My friends always try to get jobs up here, which I think is very difficult.
Yeah, maybe both. Yeah.
I don't know if I would. This type of a career is so hard to get in to do. I don't know how I would tell somebody to start, but what I recommend to kids and stuff growing up these days is cybersecurity. There's never enough of them. And guess who needs cybersecurity more than anything? And so if you want to do something where you'll get a good job in, do that. So, because that's what I would recommend to every kid coming up. There's not enough of them, and it's a perfect place for them to start and work, and it's a perfect area to be able to do it. And another thing, if you can't do that, join the press, because then you can watch them all the time. Figure out a way to be a part of the press, which is actually pretty easy around here. So, because we have a lot of people in the press.
Sure.
But that would be my recommendation, because it's not something that, you can get any kind of a job, a janitor, secretary, whatever up there. If you want to, you could apply for them, but it just depends on what you want to do, what you can handle, what's going to make you happy. So I don't know, as long as I'm changing, moving, innovating, doing something new all the time, that's my personality. So I'm happy, but that's not always for everybody too. I see a lot of the new kids joining like the military, and they don't like it, but they don't realize you got to get through that beginning schooling and other things. And then once you're in there and once you're doing it, you'll love it. It's the most exciting thing on the planet. And every time the new military, captains and stuff come in and stuff here, it's always so exciting, because there's only 2 duty stations like this in the world. And so it's pretty awesome. And they get to come here and watch them and train them and work with them. And try to inspire them as much as possible.
Mona, thank you so freaking much for sharing this. As someone who's never seen a launch in person before,
I do them all the time.
I think this is something that is it's been on the radar for a while, but I think this might have just bumped it up and surpassed some of my other bucket list things. So thank you so much.
It's impossible to visit Cocoa Beach and not see a launch every few days. It's impossible.
Okay. All right. I know where I'm going.
Well, there's one final thing I know I have to say is that there are 2 rockets I know you have not seen launch, and that is my space shuttle slippers that I am currently wearing right now. You guys check that out.
You don't have an astronaut uniform?
Tan does.
I know.
Dude,
that is something in Florida engineering kind of stuff we would do. So that is very us.
That is great.
My feet just got really sweaty. I think I need to take these off now.
Like, who makes those? I've never even seen those before.
I don't think they're tags. I got them for Christmas like 10 years ago.
Okay. Nice.
I don't know.
So obviously you've liked rockets since then.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Long enough.
And Tan, even though he's got the astronaut uniform, he still hasn't even seen one yet.
I'm a noob. Yeah, I am. I don't know anything about launches or any of the types of rockets that are out there. So I'm looking forward to learn more, and hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, primarily it's Falcon 9s right now, and any version of a Falcon 9. So I mean, thankfully it's pretty easy to learn what we do now.
Cool.
Because you have a Falcon Crew, you have a Falcon Heavy, and a Falcon 9, and then we're just started the Blue Origin, so those are brand new.
Yeah,
and that's really it for right now. Until Starship comes here.
Right. Is the launch tower close to completion?
Well, I mean, I know after remember when that first launch, how they kind of destroyed the pad, and I remember when that happened, and they immediately started working on the pad out here, doing the same changes. So I mean, I see stuff moving and being worked on all the time. But yeah, I would think it would be sooner than later. They've actually been talking about it just because it's safer to launch it from here too. So because you don't fly over land at all, you just over the ocean. So and as long as a boat doesn't get in your way, you're good.
Right.
Like we had the other night.
Oh no.
Yes.
Get with the picture, people.
I know. It happens every few days. It's like, how do you not know?
Oh my gosh.
Mona is inspiring. I agree. I am excited to explore all the possibilities with these launches. There's so much to learn, and I think I want to do a live stream. I want to do exactly what you do on TikTok at some point this year. I would love to do a stream.
Nice. Like I said, we do them every 3 days in Florida, so it's kind of hard not to visit and do it. And so everybody that's ever visited, once we had a hurricane when Madison came to visit, but that was the only time that we didn't have one.
Yeah.
And I actually drove through the hurricane, went and hung out with her, visited her, and drove back into it because we don't think anything about it in Florida. It's just a hurricane. It's just an excuse to do crazy stuff.
You're like Midwesterners where you just sit on the front porch and stare at the tornadoes as they go by. But you like just sit on the front porch just like
yeah, but now I'm a photographer, so it's worse. And I'm like, everybody get in the car, we're chasing it.
Yes. Oh, now you're talking. First
and
Bobcats,
then I'm like
now
over
hurricanes.
somebody's shoulder while I'm still recording, like, we have to leave. The tornado's coming. I don't care. I'm still getting the picture. You have to pick me up and carry me away. So.
Gotta get the shot.
It's just you, the Gators, and the Bobcats sitting on your porch, just enjoying the scene together, right?
And we're pretty entertaining here. I mean, we have the Florida man games and soon to be women games here. So we've already started the craziness of what type of things that are very Florida. You're pursued by police. You have alligator mud wrestling, noodle wrestling. Yeah, it's just. So if you've never heard of it, definitely look up the Florida Man Games.
Yeah.
It's only going to be the second
headlines.
year. Yeah, it's coming up soon. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Well, it's been so great to get to know you. I mean, I've never had the chance to speak with you. I know Tan's had a little more interaction, but like this has been so much fun getting to see this this path that you forged for yourself, and it's a legacy that you're carrying on through your family and your lineage. That's admirable and really inspiring. And
it really is.
Can't thank you enough for your time tonight, for being here with us on the Galactic Window. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks. I enjoyed it.
Well,
W's in the chat for Mona.
Yeah.
W's in the chat.
Straight dubs. Well, you're always welcome back to the show. And perhaps maybe we could do a live in person with you down there once with a rocket launching in the background, and we'll just all turn around and and watch it go.
That would be cool.
I'm sure you'll just be like everybody else that visits. You'll either have your telescope or a camera hooked up, ready to go. So,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
and then the live is connected to the top of it because both Dan and Nate both do that. And Nate's been here a ton. Nate's been here like 6 times. So the helicopter rides around the Cape are amazing.
Oh,
Doors
yeah.
off.
Ooh.
Doors off are the best.
Oh man, I bet.
Dude. I have a friend who did that, and it looked so awesome.
It was so worth it.
And there was like when he went up, there was a Falcon 9 booster coming back onto the drone ship, like to Port Canaveral at the time, and it was like he got some shots of that coming in, and it was like, man,
Yeah,
that's like the best time to
unfortunately
do it.
ours was there. We could see it from above, but it was already sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But you can actually track those, which is really cool too, because every 2 days they come back and we go onto the ship tracking apps and we actually can see exactly when it's coming back. So you can show up and be there and get to see it as it's coming back in,
Oh,
which
cool.
is pretty cool. Mhm.
Sweet. Goodness. Well, thank you, Mona. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
We hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and
You
we will see
too.
you next time.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Take care. See you later. All right. Everybody, who wants to go see a rocket? Let's go.
Me. I want to go. Let's go right now.
How are there so many freaking cool people on planet Earth? Dude, why? How? When?
I think every single human being has a story of their own, and I think what we've experienced so far in our however many episodes we've done is that like we're all pretty similar, even though we have these different career paths and personalities and whatever. We all lead to this. We all kind of like connect on this one thing, and it's just space, man.
Mm-hmm.
The stars.
Yeah.
It grounds us. It brings us happiness, and it makes me super happy whenever I hear people doing something they really love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always get bummed out whenever people do things just for like the money or just because they're stuck doing it or whatever. But it sounds like Mona's found her thing,
Oh, for
and
sure.
I love that so much. I love that.
Well, and I think 76,000 people also love it, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And counting.
Yep. She's going to the moon.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to ask you that question. I saw people asking that. Would you go to the moon? You know? Nuts. Oh, I see her nodding in the bench. I can see her still. Okay, we got the answer.
Oh.
Sorry. Bonus.
She says
bonus.
Yes to the moon, chat.
It's never too late to ask questions.
Cool people attracts cool people. Oh.
Law of magnetism.
Damn,
Right.
I didn't realize we were that cool, guys.
Yeah.
Jeez. It makes sense now.
Right? We charged. We got
Yeah.
polarity.
Well, and here I was worrying about like what kind of guests would bring on. Like, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
We're good.
Right.
We don't even have to worry. Just-
Oh my gosh. Oh, dude. Well, it's been a super fun episode. I'm glad to be back in the saddle. And even though it has felt like 3 weeks, it's only been one, but
It has.
we got another episode coming up next week, right?
Yep. 2025, guys. We are going to we're going to make it our priority to keep. Oh my God.
What?
Holy
Oh,
Jesus. Oh my
shiitake mushrooms.
That is insane. Jesus. Oh my God, dude. That's wild. Thank
Jiminy
you so-
Christmas.
Jeez.
Oh, I don't even at the rate I can't.
Yeah. Thank
But-
you.
Thank you as always. Thank you for the support. Artie
Is
Jones.
Tan okay? No, I'm not okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh gosh.
Well, what I was saying, before Richard John just threw a whole crap of money at us.
Before you're so generously interrupted, right?
Rude.
Yeah. You know that is like the kindest thing ever. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, seriously. Well, we want to bring you guys the best possible experience on the show. And I would say, even though we are at episode 34 now, I still think, like, I still consider this podcast to be fairly new. And I don't know how you feel, Nick, but
Mhm.
I'm not real. There's like some uncertainty on where this podcast is going to go this year. I don't really know where. I don't think I have it in my head like what it's going to look like, but I do know one thing is that Nick and I have been enjoying these every single week, and it makes me so freaking happy to see the amount of people that come watch now. We've averaged 19 to 20 plus people on our show, and that was never really a thing before.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to say is thank you for your support, and we are going to do everything we can to make this a really entertaining and fun show for you guys. And we couldn't do this without the support of you guys. So thank you.
Mhm. Well put, dude.
Thank you.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Man, that was crazy.
So you guys, I want to do a couple things here before we wrap up the show for the night. First of all, please go and support Mona. Follow her on all the social media platforms. Here's her handle. I dropped it on the screen. At Monamiaisme. It's also in the title of the video, but you can also see it right here on the screen. Go follow her on TikTok and all the other.
Go
social
watch her
media
rocket
platforms.
launches. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Go
don't
watch
miss
her
it.
rocket launches, dude. They're gnarly. They're super gnarly.
So yeah, it's one of the most important things you can be doing tonight is to go support her and do that as a thank you for her giving us her time, sharing her experiences. It's such a special thing. So, and then in addition, if you would like to support Tan, you can find him at Chasing the Milk all over the socials. And you can find me at the Orbital Alliance also on the social interwebs. And next week, we'll be right back here on YouTube, Monday night. I believe that is January 27th at 9 p.m. Central Time in the United States. We'll be doing what we do most, which is talking about space, talking about
We'll
astronomy,
be doing it.
getting people fired up to go look at the night sky. That's what we do.
Every single week, guys. We'll be here. So you know where to find us. And look, we know you're not always going to be able to make it, and that's fine. The cool thing is that these videos live on YouTube. There's no shelf life, guys. You can watch this episode a year from now if you want. And if you guys are just catching this episode, just know that there are 33 other episodes before this one that you can binge while you're cooking, driving to work, laying in bed, whatever. Please watch it.
Yeah.
Please.
Please. I think the key, you gotta follow the advice of Tan, which is go get a snack, get a beverage, get a drink, get something, and make it a comforting experience. Just pull up with some food.
That's actually really good advice because I am notorious for picking at things, especially whenever I'm distracted. And the only time that I will really sit down and watch something is if I'm comfortable. So I've got to be eating some food or just really like snuggled in some blankets and actually sitting down and watching. So please
put it up on the big screen. Cast from your phone. Tune
Do
in.
it. You won't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's super kind. Thank you. And Angie, this is so nice to hear.
Oh wow.
And we know we can count on you always to be here as well. Thank you for your support and your viewership. It means the world. Really, seriously.
Or with the UFO fidget spinner. Yeah.
Dude, I need me one of those.
I'll send you one.
And I'm just gonna like be the worst host ever. I'm just gonna be like, like the whole episode. I'm gonna forget we have a guest. I'm gonna just be sitting there spinning on the side.
Just you and I, just both not even talking.
Yeah.
Who can do it faster? They're fun, dude.
They are fun. Oh my goodness. All right, dude. Should we nuke this thing?
Let's nuke it.
Let's nuke it. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. We'll be back here next Monday night, 9 p.m. And you know the drill. We'll see you all on the other side.